A door to freedom. It was a quiet night. The wind was cold, and the moon was high in the sky. Inside a small house, a woman sat alone. Her name was Anna. She was young, but her face looked tired. Her hands were shaking as she held a small bag. Anna's husband, Mark, was not home. He was a cruel man. He did not love her. He did not speak kind words. Every day he shouted at her. Every day she felt trapped. She wanted to leave, but she was afraid. She remembered the first time he hurt her. It was a small thing, just a push. Then it became worse. He broke her favorite cup. He tore her dress. He called her names. Each day she hoped he would change, but he never did. Anna had no friends. She had no family near her. She was alone in this house, in this life. Sometimes she looked out of the window and saw happy people. She wondered, will I ever be happy like them? But the answer always felt far away. Tonight was different. Anna had a plan. She looked at the clock. It was almost midnight. Mark would return soon. She had to go now. If she stayed, things would never change. If she left, maybe she could find peace. She stood up and took a deep breath. She walked to the door and opened it slowly. The street was empty. Her heart was beating fast. She took one step outside, then another. The night was silent, but inside her there was a storm. She thought about the life she was leaving behind, the pain, the loneliness, the fear. But she also thought about something else, hope. She did not look back. She could not stop. She had to run. She had to be free. Anna walked quickly down the empty street. The night was cold, but she did not feel it. Her heart was beating too fast. Her hands were shaking. She was afraid, but she kept moving. She had to get far away before Mark came home. She did not know where to go. She had no family in this town. She had no money, only a few coins in her pocket, but she did not care. She would rather sleep on the street than spend one more night in that house. She passed dark houses with closed windows. Everyone was asleep. No one knew her pain. No one saw her running. She felt like a ghost, moving through the night, unseen and forgotten. Then she heard a noise. A car was coming. The lights were bright. Anna's breath caught in her throat. What if it was Mark? What if he had come to find her? She panicked and hid behind a tree. The car passed slowly, but it did not stop. It was not him. Anna let out a shaky breath. She could not stop now. She had to keep going. She had to find a safe place. She thought about the train station. Maybe she could leave this town. Maybe she could start over. Her feet hurt, but she did not stop. She walked through the dark streets. Her bag clutched tightly in her hands. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow made her nervous. She felt like the night was watching her, waiting to see what she would do next. Finally, she saw the train station in the distance. It was small, with only a few lights. There were no people, no trains, just silence. She walked closer, her heart pounding. She had made it this far. But what would she do now? Anna stood near the train station, looking around. The cold wind touched her face, but she did not move. She felt lost. She had come this far, but now she had no plan. She had no ticket, no money, and no idea where to go. She sat on a wooden bench, hugging her bag. Her hands were cold. Her body was tired, but her mind was awake. She thought about her past, about the day she married Mark. She had been happy then. She had believed in love, but love had turned into pain. A distant sound broke her thoughts. A train whistle. She looked up. A train was coming. The lights shone in the darkness. Her heart beat faster. Maybe this was her chance. Maybe she could get on that train and never look back. The train stopped. The doors opened. A few people got out, but no one got in. Anna stood up. She took a small step forward. Her legs were shaking. Could she really do this? Could she leave everything behind? Then she heard footsteps. A man in a uniform was walking toward her. The station worker. He looked at her with kind eyes. "Miss, are you waiting for someone?" he asked. Anna opened her mouth, but no words came out. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to say no. She wanted to ask for help, but she was too afraid. The man waited. Then he sighed and said, "It's late. The next train won't come until morning." Anna nodded slowly. She had to stay here for the night. But what if Mark was looking for her? What if he found her? She sat back down, her heart heavy. The night felt long and endless. The station was empty again, except for her. She was alone, but for the first time in years, she was free. Anna sat on the cold bench, staring at the empty platform. The wind howled through the station, making her shiver. She pulled her thin coat tighter around her body. The night was long, and she had nowhere to go. Her mind was full of memories. She remembered the first time Mark had hurt her. It had been small at first, an angry word, a sharp look. Then it became worse. Pushing, shouting, bruises that never had time to heal. She had lived in fear, waiting for the next storm. She closed her eyes. She could still hear his voice in her head. "You are nothing without me, Anna. No one will help you." She had believed him for so long, but now she was here, alone, scared, but free. A distant sound broke her thoughts. Footsteps. Someone was coming. Anna tensed, her heart pounding. Was it Mark? Had he found her? She held her breath. A man in an old coat appeared from the shadows. He was thin, with tired eyes. He looked at her and smiled gently. "You look cold," he said. "Are you waiting for someone?" Anna hesitated. Should she answer? Could she trust a stranger? She looked into his kind eyes and whispered, "No, I don't know where to go." The man nodded. "I understand. Life can be hard." He sat on the bench across from her. "I was like you once. Now I live on the streets. But I keep going, because even the darkest night ends." Anna looked at him. His words were simple, but they touched something deep inside her. Maybe she could keep going, too. Maybe she could survive. The station lights flickered. The night felt endless. But Anna was no longer completely alone. Anna sat in silence, her fingers trembling from the cold. The man across from her pulled a small piece of bread from his pocket and offered it to her. She hesitated, then took it. It was dry and stale, but she was too hungry to care. "You don't have to tell me your story," the man said softly. but I can see you're running from something." Anna swallowed the dry bread. She didn't want to speak, but the words poured out before she could stop them. "I had a husband," she whispered. "He was not kind to me. He hurt me. I stayed because I was afraid. But tonight, I ran away." The man nodded as if he understood. "Leaving is hard," he said, "but staying in pain is harder." Anna felt tears burning her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. "I don't know what to do now," she admitted. "I have no money, no family, nowhere to go." The man sighed. "I know a place," he said. "A shelter. It's not perfect, but it's safe. You can rest there, get some food, talk to people who can help." Anna looked at him. Could she trust him? She had trusted Mark once, and it had only brought her pain. But something about this man felt different. She took a deep breath. "Where is it?" The man smiled. "Not far. I can take you there." Anna stood up, her legs weak from exhaustion. For the first time in years, she felt a small flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she had made the right choice. The night was still dark, the cold wind still biting, but Anna followed the man into the unknown. Anna walked beside the man, her heart pounding. The streets were empty, and the cold air made her shiver. She pulled the thin coat around her tighter, but it did little to keep her warm. Every step felt heavy, but she forced herself to keep moving. The man led her through dark alleys and quiet roads. Anna kept glancing back, afraid that Mark would appear at any moment. Her body still ached from his last beating, and the fear in her chest refused to fade. After what felt like hours, they reached a small building with a dim light shining from inside. The man knocked on the door. After a few moments, a woman opened it. She had kind eyes and a gentle smile. "This is Anna," the man said. "She needs help." The woman stepped aside. "Come in, dear. You're safe here." Anna hesitated. Safe. The word felt strange to her. For years she had known nothing but fear. Could she really trust this place? She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The warmth of the room wrapped around her like a blanket. She saw other women sitting at a table, eating quietly. Some had bruises on their faces. Some looked lost, just like her. The woman guided her to a chair and placed a bowl of soup in front of her. "Eat," she said. "You're not alone anymore." Anna picked up the spoon with shaking hands. As she took her first bite, tears filled her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing: she would never go back. She had escaped, and now she had a chance to start again.